Women of Reddit, what do men do that confuses you? Story 1. My four friends have known each other for at least 16 years. I moved away for 2 years before moving back, and just one day when I was back, I just walked into one friend's house where everyone hung out, which was expected. Nothing happened, but I was okay with it. LOL, none of us needed to catch up on love and that stuff. So just hung out doing nothing like usual. Story 2. I wrestled in high school with a guy who was nearly the same weight, so we drilled together at practice. When I moved back to my hometown 20 years later, I discovered he had a sister in my graduating class. Had no clue. In my defense, I had numerous concussions in high school. Story 3. There isn't much thought that goes into it. They try to impress women by doing impressive things. Which things do they think are impressive? Well, something that would impress them. And who are they? Men. So anyway, here's a big fish I caught, a fast lap time in a car, an expensive watch, or whatever. Story 4. During the summer a few years ago, I woke up in my bedroom at home and had my window open because it was boiling. I had only been awake for a moment when a car outside dropped someone off, and I heard a song I liked because they were blasting it in the car. And it just felt so good, so I thought, oh my fucking god, what a nice way to wake up. Story 5. Pretend not to like things. Every dude in my life has always adamantly been against something, even though they enjoy it. My dad always pretended to hate my cats even though he loved to pet them and wouldn't move them if they jumped up to sleep on him. My boyfriend acts like he hates game shows and then sits down and plays them actively when I'm doing it. Why do so many guys pretend to hate things? Story 6. My brother and I found a scorpion with a stinger caught in the carpet, and he immediately said, "It's trapped. I'm gonna pet it like a dog." When he asked me to join him, I, of course, said fuck no, and he said, "This is what separates males from females," as he petted the damn scorpion. It became a core memory. Story 7. One time I was talking about the new Tesla tunnel with my brothers, and less than a minute after I finished talking, one of them goes, "Did you guys hear about that new Tesla tunnel?" He wasn't joking. He didn't pay attention to the entire last 5 minutes of the convo. Story 8. A guy going through rough marriage issues once told me he went out with his brother for a couple of hours on the weekend. His brother turned to him and said, "I'm getting divorced." He said, "Okay," and they didn't speak about it for the rest of the pudding. Finally, he got home and told his wife that she had many questions. He got in trouble for not having any answers. His response, if he wanted me to know more, he'd have told me more. Story 9. I'm 22 years old and a waitress in a small town. Several men, most 70 plus, think it's okay to rub your arm, back, or hip when they talk to you. Some have gotten upset when you move away from them. A few have asked to take a picture of me, and one has asked my coworker for my phone number. I hope that in 50 years, I'll have enough sense not to hit on people young enough to be my grandchild. Story 10. I've worked in the service industry most of my life. Unfortunately, many men need to realize that we're paid to be excellent. We are not flirting. Most of the older gentlemen I encountered fell into two groups, creeps and dad jokers. When we're smiling and being friendly and pleasant, when you get that sly look like you're about to make our day, we prepare for the worst instinctively. Here he comes. He's going to say something sexual or hit on me. When a dad joke, even the worst groaner ever, comes out, you made our day by choosing the high road. Story 11. I work in a retirement home, and old demographics lose their sense of other people's personal space entirely. I've been grabbed at my spicy plates multiple times, and I'm a 185M guy. It's weird and disgusting, but just a thing they do. They also start a pout when I tell them off or get angry or confused about why I wouldn't let this confused older woman touch my no-no zone. Story 12. 99% of guys would love to receive an unsolicited picture of a naked girl, so in their eyes, why wouldn't vice versa apply? It doesn't justify it, but just a reason, I think. Story 13. About 6 of us were working on a building project to help out a friend. One guy's a pro, the rest are competent with tools and help. As guys showed up, they would see us muscling a beam into position or moving something heavy around and joining in or grabbing tools to help. Lots of greetings and smack talking, but the minimal conversation about what was being done worked flawlessly. Story 14. I never understood the fascination some men have with driving loud cars. No offense to people who like loud cars, but I find them annoying, especially when I'm trying to sleep or talking to someone when a noisy car goes by. Story 15. I was in a relationship for 7 years, and in the last year or so, it was becoming obvious he wasn't very invested anymore. I tried discussing it, and they'd go nowhere. I even tried reassuring him that if he wanted to break up, it would hurt a little bit, but I wouldn't hate him. He insisted he loved me and nothing was wrong. He ended up cheating. It's been a while, and there are no negative feelings about it, but I'll always be at a loss as to why someone would put themselves and someone else through something like that. I'm genuinely curious to know the reasoning. Was he scared that I was lying and I actually would hate him? I don't know, but I didn't hate him and never did. Even after I caught him cheating, it was less hate and more like a switch was flipped to apathy. It bewilders me, though, that someone would take the hard road when it was so unnecessary. Story 16. My mom dated a guy for a year, and this happened to her. He started not being interested, was always on the road, truck driver, and was too tired to do anything or come over on days off. Mom said if you want to break up, that's okay, just be honest. Mom had been cheated on 2 times before he knew this. He said no, just tired. Another month went by and the same thing. Mom says, is everything okay? Do you want to break up, etc.? He said no, same reason. So another month, mom said, okay, you're not interested. Let's break up. He then cried and told mom how he had ball cancer and had been going to Brisbane. And that's why he had been distant. He didn't want to worry her, but it looked like they might have to cut off a ball. So mom, of course, is like, why didn't you tell me? How can I help? 2 months later, mom finds out he had another girlfriend for the past 3 months, and it was all bull. Even she was bewildered. She had been giving him so many chances to break up and move on with each other's lives, but he kept saying she was just thinking these things in her head and then even lied about having cancer. Story 17. I find it immature and annoying when my fellow men brag about their angry tantrums, all convinced that it was righteous anger. And when I point out that, so basically, you threw a tantrum like a 5-year-old because someone cut in front of you in the line at a grocery store instead of just telling them, excuse me, ma'am, I was next in line, calmly, like a grown up. Story 18. This is common, and I can only understand expressing my emotions if I want a logical solution. I don't like to complain. I don't like getting sympathy or affirmation. I want to solve it. So, since I naturally abide by the golden rule of treat others how you'd want to be treated, I try to solve the problem for them if they try to bring it up. If I brought up a problem to someone and they agreed it was terrible, I'd probably feel like, what was the point in even telling them? That was pointless. Through relationships, I've found that strangely women often want that, so I suppress the urge to problem solve. Story 19. I was 13 when I started getting catcalled. When I was 14, a man on the bus thought it was okay to slide his entire body against mine so I could feel his boner. Buses can get packed, but this one was not, and I didn't realize what was happening until it was happening. Multiple adults were on the bus and no one said or did anything to help. Then the bus stopped to open the doors and he just left. I was shocked and wished I had elbowed him in the fucking nose. Weird shit like this kept happening well into my 20s, but I learned how to loudly tell someone to fuck off. I also learned that, as an adult, it's easier to have men not harass me if I wear a ring, so I used to wear a small band on my left hand to indicate that I was married. Some still tried. I had one guy say, your husband doesn't have to know, but otherwise they tend to back off. Sadly, my saying no isn't enough. I must belong to someone else for them to truly leave me alone.